Okay, this first video is going to cover just a couple things about the Chapter 9 content from the midterm. The conversions were actually really good. Most people did really well on those. One thing to remember is that a conversion factor is a fraction that has a value of 1, okay? So what I mean by that, for example, if we do 12 inches, which is equal, there we go, I'll try that again, 12 inches, which is equal to 1 foot. If I write that as a fraction, the numerator and denominator have the same value, okay? But what the conversion factor does is it changes it from one unit into another. So when we're converting, the only mistakes really that were commonly made are maybe multiplying when we needed to divide or vice versa. So when we convert, we need to pay attention to where the units are, okay? So on the first example here, I've got convert 16 quarts to liters. My conversion factor is that 1 liter is about 1.06 quarts. So when I'm converting that, using my units as well, I have 16 quarts, and I'm going to multiply by a fraction with the 1 liter and the 1.06 quarts, except I know that my quarts needs to go in the denominator so that it can be canceled out with the quarts from the 16, okay? So that means the 1 liter goes on top, and now this tells me that I'm doing 16 times 1 divided by 1.06 instead of 16 times 1.06. And I'm going from quarts into liters because that's the unit that will be left over. And that comes out to be about 15.094 liters, okay? And if I'm asking myself, is my answer reasonable? Well, if I think about how 1 liter is a little bit bigger than a quart, okay, 1.06 a little bit bigger than 1, then I should have a number that's a little bit less than 16, okay, a little bit less than 16. So yes, that does make sense. I've got 15, okay? For the second example, in this case, I need to convert from 1.2 acres to square yards. I don't have a conversion that goes from acres to yards, but I do have two conversions, one that goes from acres to square feet and one that goes from square feet to square yards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use two conversion factors. First, I'll change the acres into square feet, okay, so that'll look like this. 1.2 acres times 43,560 feet squared over 1 acre. Okay, so that's going to get rid of my acre unit. Now I'm in square feet, that's the unit left over, okay? And then I'm going to change out of square feet, so square feet is going to go in my denominator because I need that to cancel. All right, those cancel, and into square yards. Okay, so my feet units have canceled out here, my acres have canceled out here. My unit that is left is yard squared, which is what I'm looking for. Okay, that's what I'm looking for right here. And so now I need to do 1.2 times 43,560 divided by 9, or times 1/9 to get the same thing. Okay, and that's going to give me 5,808, and my unit left over, yard squared. Okay? If you have other questions about conversions, either specifically from the midterm or just questions in general, let me know. I'd be happy to answer those. One other thing that you can think about is if you're going between like square units to square units, instead of trying to come up with a bunch of different conversion units, you could also use the single conversion factor twice. Okay, so for example, if you're going from square inches to square feet, you could convert once from inches to feet and then again from inches to feet because it's unit squared. So that's just another way to think about it instead of being overwhelmed by too many conversion factors.